Welcome to the Heart of a Viking. This channel offers elementary art lessons taught by Mrs. Minto from the Cape Henlopen School District in Delaware. I look forward to virtually creating with you. There are new lessons posted weekly. Subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss a single one. So go grab your art supplies and your thinking caps and let's begin. Hey fifth graders, welcome back! And today we're beginning a project on one-point perspective. One-point perspective is one of those art techniques that can be a little bit tricky whenever you are first learning how to do it, but if you stick with it and you learn some of the techniques, it can really enhance your artwork, making things look more realistic and creating more depth in your pictures. And that's exactly what these photographers have done here. So we're looking at a couple of cityscapes, and it seems like the street or the road that's going down the center of these cityscapes goes way back into the distance. And I can see many shops and buildings and cars and people that seem like they're going really far back into the distance too. So there's a couple of techniques that we're going to be using that remind me of these pictures that are going to help us create our own one-point perspective pieces of artwork. All right, so grab your art supplies and meet me back here to start our one-point perspective. I almost forgot to mention, during the video today, my lines as I draw will be very, very light, and I apologize for that. When I was filming the video, the sun came out in my classroom and it really made the lines that I'm drawing very hard to see. In addition to that, because I'm working on a one-point perspective project and I know that I'm going to be erasing a lot, I on purpose was already drawing very, very lightly because I know that many of the lines we make have to be either erased or altered or changed, because this kind of project just kind of builds on each line that we make. So there is a lot of erasing as we go along today. So I apologize for the light recording of this video. Part 2 that comes out next week doesn't have any light problems like this one does. So I corrected that for us for next week. So bear with me today as we do our one-point perspective drawing. I apologize that it's a little bit light, but I encourage you to draw lightly as well, just to make sure that you don't have to have any weird marks on your paper whenever it's time to start adding our color. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm going to be using my ruler today. He's going to be my best friend, and I'm going to start by making a horizon line. I always need that when I'm drawing a picture of the outside. So I'm drawing my horizon line up kind of high. It's not right in the middle, it's up a little bit higher. Next, I'm going to mark in the middle of my line. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle. If you want to measure it, you can, but I'm going to put a little dot in the middle of my horizon line. That little dot is my vanishing point, and believe it or not, he actually controls pretty much the entire work of art. It's almost like that little vanishing point is the strongest magnet in the world, and everything is drawn to it. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. The tops of our buildings get drawn to the vanishing point. The road, the sidewalk, the railings, pretty much everything gets drawn towards that vanishing point. I'm excited to teach you this new technique. Okay, so go ahead and move your ruler down to the bottom edge of your paper, not on your paper, just under your paper. It's almost like it's sitting on top of the ruler. Now we're actually going to do a little bit of measuring here. I'd like for you to find the 4-inch mark and put a little mark on your paper, and the 8-inch mark and put a little dot on your paper. Now I'm going to use my ruler to help me draw a straight line. So I'm going to line up the flat edge of my ruler so that it's touching both my one-point perspective dot and one of the marks I just made. Once it's lined up, hold the ruler really still, pushing down, and trace that edge. Then I'd like for you to do the same thing on the other side. Keep your hand that's holding the ruler in the middle of where you are tracing, not at the top of the ruler or at the bottom. Perfect. Okay, so that's the beginning of my road. Now I'm going to draw a line down the center of this. I'm going to put a little mark at the bottom of my paper, right around the 6-inch mark there. And I'm going to connect the little mark that I just made with my vanishing point way in the back there. And this time I'm not drawing a straight line. I'm making a dashed line, just like in a road. But I have two important rules. One, these little dots have to get smaller as they get closer to the vanishing point. Second, after I make them, I need to leave a smaller space between them so they get closer together and they get shorter as I go back. Great. Okay, so now we're going to work on just the right side of my paper. The first thing I'm going to make are the rooftop of the buildings that are next to this road. So I'm going to make a diagonal line that goes from my vanishing point somewhere off the right edge of my paper, pretty high up. Okay, now the whole horizon line on this side can be erased. We might have to draw some of it back later, but for now we can erase it. Okay, so now I'm going to use my ruler, and I need my ruler to be completely straight up and down, like how a flagpole stands outside. Now, to keep this straight, there are a couple of tricks that I like to use. One is I will either take the top edge of my ruler and line it up with the top edge of my paper, or the bottom edge. In addition to that, I'm always looking at the distance between my ruler and the edge of the paper, which is already straight. Now, what I'd like for you to do is draw a straight line going from your rooftop line that we made to the bottom edge of the paper. Now, move over a distance. You decide on what distance you want to move over. I'm going to go right about here. And I'm going to do the same thing again from my rooftop line. This time I have to stop when I get to the road. I don't go to the bottom edge, I go to the road. Okay, that was 2. Let's do a third one. From the rooftop line down to the road. 1, 2, 3 buildings now. Let's put a fourth one back here. I have room, so why not? So keep my ruler straight, up and down. Great. Now, way back here, I'm going to redraw my horizon line and erase the little portion of rooftop lines right there because I do not have another building back there. Maybe that's like a little patch of grass or maybe a parking lot or something for these buildings. Okay. Alright, so now let's add some doors to these. So I'm going to start on this building here. You can really start with whichever building. And I'm putting a little dot of how tall I think the door should be. I'd say a little less than halfway up the building's height. Okay, so now I'm going to line up that little dot I made with my vanishing point back there. And I'm going to draw a line across all of my buildings, not just that one. I'm actually cheating a little bit here, but doors should all be the same height, right? So I'm just drawing my line across all of the buildings right now. Now, those doors right now are as wide as the whole building. So I don't need it to be like that. I want them to be like regular doors, like a single door or maybe a double door. So I'm going to put a little dot, 3 little dots here. I'm going to make this one a double door. And I'm going to, again, switch to my ruler to straight up and down and draw a line that goes from my top of my door to my sidewalk or to my road. Hey, I forgot to draw a sidewalk. Okay, next time. All right, and then move over the next one. And then one more time, I made a third dot. There it is. Straight up and down ruler. Great. Okay, so right now it looks like I have like 2, 3, 4 doors. So I'm going to put a doorknob here, kind of like a door like pull knob thing. And then I'm going to actually erase the top of the door frame that is extra on just that one building. So to the left and to the right. Okay, now that one building has doors. Fantastic. Let's repeat that on the other buildings. Okay, so let's mark how wide I want the door to be. I'm marking it on that line. This time I'm going to go with a single door. So I just need 2 little marks. Again, roller straight up and down. Excellent. And then move over to the next one. Straight up and down. Fantastic. Okay. So this guy, I have extra lines here too. Erase those extra lines. Thank goodness I drew softly so I could erase them easily. And I'm just darkening up the top edge of that door. Okay, a doorknob, and then we can move on to the next one. Now this one, the door is lower than my paper, so I'm really just going to draw the top edge of the door. It's going to be so small. It's just like the top left corner of the door, and that's really it. Just darkening up that line, and then I'll erase the little extra bit. Okay, so now I have one more building way in the back. Kind of saved him for last because he's so super small. So I still have the top of the line just like the other doors, and I'm going to make my little marks. I'm going to make a double door on this one too. My ruler is perfectly straight. I'm lining it up with the bottom edge of my paper. I'm drawing my little lines from the dots I made down to the road. I'm going to just retrace the top edge of those doors and erase. Fantastic. A little doorknob, and then these guys are done too. Okay, so now using a similar technique, I'm going to draw the windows that might be above the doors on these buildings. So the technique is very similar. I'm just going to make little marks where I want the top edge and the bottom edge of the window to be, so I know how tall to make it. And again, I'm going to use my vanishing point back there, lined up with one of my dots. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my line across all of my buildings, just like I did before. Kind of cheating in a way, but I can get windows on all of my buildings by just drawing one little line. Great! And then here's my other dot I made, lining up with my vanishing point. Hold that ruler really still and trace. Okay, so now that's the height of my windows. Now I just need to mark how wide they are. So again, use this ruler perfectly straight up and down. And I'm just drawing some straight lines going across. And I'm dividing up this row into smaller windows. And any extra lines going to the vanishing point that I don't need, I can just erase. So I have a little row of 3 windows there. Oh, Mrs. Minto, sneaky. I'm going to erase the middle, and I'm going to have only 2 windows. Oh, cool idea. Okay, and then just repeat on the other buildings. Okay, so like in some of our other projects, we are actually going to stop here for today, and we're going to put our artwork in a safe spot and join me back here next week for part 2. This is actually part 1 of a 4-part series. So this is going to take us a little while, so settle in and try and enjoy what we're doing, learning this new technique, because it's only going to make you a better artist in the end. So I will see you back here next time at the Heart of a Viking.